solving equations with variables on both sides, distributive property on both sides, and combining like terms on both sides. For this equation, there are quite a few more steps. We are going to need to apply distributive property and combine like terms on both sides before we do anything else. Then we will get all the variables on one side, get all the numbers to the other side, and solve the equation by isolating the variable, just like we did with all the other ones. This is going to be very important to do first. We will need to distribute and combine before we can do any of the other steps. Just like in all my other examples, drawing the line at the equal sign is optional. I choose to do it because it helps me see where my equal sign is at all times. That way I know whatever I do on one side, I need to do to the other, and it helps to make sure I know that whatever I'm doing on this side, I need to do, and I don't get confused on where each side is. Especially with this one, when we're combining. I don't want to accidentally combine something from this side onto this side by accident. So this line is going to be very important with this particular equation. Step 1 is to distribute, which means to multiply. I need to distribute this 5, but it's not just a 5, it's a negative 5. This minus right here makes this 5 negative, so I'm going to be taking this negative 5 and distributing it to both of the terms on the inside of the parentheses. This p, I'm not going to worry about right now. I'll take care of that once I'm done distributing. Negative 5 times p is negative 5p. Negative 5 times positive 4, this plus makes this 4 positive. So negative 5 times positive 4 is a negative 20. This minus right here makes a negative 20. That p out front just comes down into the equation. It does not need to be distributed, but it does need to be part of the equation. I like to work on one side at a time, so I will get to that side later, but I'm going to distribute and combine on this side, then I will distribute and combine on that side. Then I will continue the steps. So right now I've just distributed. Now I need to look to see if I can combine. I have p minus 5p minus 20. I have two p terms that can be combined together. I have grouped my terms. I have put the p terms in the purple and my number terms in the green. Combine means to add. The p term by itself has an imaginary 1 in front of it, so positive 1 plus negative 5 is a negative 4p. Then we have our plus a negative 20. We do not want two symbols next to each other. Adding a negative is the same thing as subtracting. So we can rewrite this as negative 4p minus 20. So this whole side here ends up being negative 4p minus 20. So we have distributed, we have combined, and now we need to do the same steps to the other side before we can continue. Over here, we have p minus parentheses 8 minus p inside of the parentheses. Right here is what we are going to need to distribute. We have a negative being distributed into the parentheses. That negative is the same thing as a negative 1 being distributed into the parentheses. Again, distribute means to multiply. So I am going to multiply a negative 1 to both of the terms on the inside of the parentheses. Note that this p also has an imaginary 1 in front of it. So here we have negative 1 times 8 is negative 8. Negative 1 times negative 1 is a positive 1p. Now we bring down our p that's in front just as we did before, and we have p minus 8 plus 1p. we have to combine like terms before we can do anything else. Here we have our p, which has a 1 in front of it, and our other 1p in our purple, and then we have our -8. Combine means to add, so we are going to add our terms together. Here we have 1p plus 1p is 2p. Bring down your plus, and we have a -8. Again, we do not want a double symbol, so we add a negative is the same thing as subtracting. So on this side, we have 2p minus 8. Looking at the entire equation, we now have -4p minus 20 equals 2p minus 8. Remember, our line is our equal sign. So now that we have our new equation after combining and distributing, it is now time to move all of our variables to one side. Remember, variables are the letters in our equation, and we like to get the letters to the left. So that means over here, I need to get rid of the 2p on the right and move it to the left. To get rid of a positive 2p, I need to subtract 2p. These are gone. -4p minus 2p is -6p. Now we have moved all of the letters to the left. Our next step is to move all of the numbers to the right. Well, we have -6p minus 20 minus 8. So we need to get rid of this -20 and move it over to this side. So -20, the opposite would be to add 20. As you can see, we've added 20 to both sides. These are gone, so the numbers are to the right, our letters are to the left. Our last step is to isolate the variable. To isolate the variable, we are either going to multiply or divide. Since -6 is right next to p, that means multiplication, so we will use division to solve. We will divide by -6 to get p by itself. Whatever you do to one side, we need to do to the other, so we now have 12 divided by -6. So p is equal to -2.